Hello true believer and welcome back to Spider-Man Review. And you probably didn't watch the first video at all. Anyway, I'm going to review two stories. The first one is the latest one. It is Kraven's First Hunt. It's part 1, 2, 3, which this was just released like yesterday. So, well, this is, I guess, a good indication of where Brand New Day is going after one more day. Now, just to get this straight, I don't hate One More Day. Shock horror. I'm probably one of the few people on the web to say this, but yeah, like, it was clunky, but come on, it's not that bad. And don't give me that it was bad for the Clone Saga bullshit, because it wasn't. That was off the limit. Anyway, on to Kraven's First Hunt. Now, I love Kraven's Last Hunt, so this plays on many of the aspects in that. Also, I will warn you, there are spoilers in this review. Now, altogether, the story is good. It kind of is what Brand New Day I was hoping would go for. I mean, if it was just going to be little one-offs where nothing goes anywhere, we don't have any sense of continuity, that would have pissed me off. But this is kind of the right balance. You know, you can enjoy it by itself, but it also has references to old Spider-Man stories, and it sets up some new ones without, you know, just clogging everything up. Basically, what happens is a female hunter, who you presume has some relation to Kraven, tries to kidnap Spider-Man, finds out that Spider-Man lives in a certain apartment, although she actually kidnaps his roommate, Vince, the police detective, and police officer, and everything goes wrong for him. So it's just kind of a case of mistaken identity. Everything's really well drawn, the dialogue's great, there's a great, as you can see here, Spidey uses Daredevil's costume, and that's done really, it's a great kind of little play up there. There's really nothing to complain about, it's just a good story. I love there's little references. In this first issue, for instance, Spider-Man's working in a comic store. He gets fired, and this new Kraven tries to kill him. Now, not because she thinks he's Spider-Man, because she thinks he's a good friend of Spider-Man's. And, you know, of course, he jumps out the window, and because of his spider sense. And, you know, this comic book guy, and in the Marvel Universe, by the way, all the superheroes are licensed to comic books, so there's like comic books within the comic book world. It's quite confusing. I don't get it myself. Anyway, yeah, so he knows all about Spider-Man and his escapades, and in fact, you know, this will probably come out in the Marvel Universe. And when he saves this guy, he says, "What's happening?" And he says, "I'm a Skrull." And anyway, I just thought that was a really clever idea to tie it into Secret Invasion. I mean, it's nice to use Secret Invasion with a light tone. I haven't actually been reading it, but anyway, and then you've got some great exchanges with him and Daredevil. Good ending. The revelation on who this new villain is, I think, was well handled. It's altogether a good story. So if you haven't bought it, it's worth a look at. You know, I mean, it's a good direction for Brand New Day to be heading. I wouldn't go to the trouble of trying to go back and find every issue unless you're a completist, in which case you've already got it. But yeah, it's definitely a sign that you should get the upcoming issues, particularly this new story that they're plugging called New Ways to Die, and that looks fun. Anyway, the next story I want to review, a bit more classic territory, is the first appearance of Carnage. Now, Carnage is a sensitive issue in the world of Spider-Man because he's a good character at heart, but he is just, oh man, the way some writers handle him, it's quite abysmal. You had Maximum Carnage, which I don't hate too much, but it is a bit much. So this is the first appearance. It's only 3 parts, and you know, 3 parts, like Kraven's First Hunt, good length. And basically, he sets up Carnage as a villain. Now, Carnage is Cletus Cassidy, for those who don't know it, is a serial killer who believes in chaos. Basically, imagine if the Joker got a symbiote. Yeah, it sounds like the badass villain there, you know, it sounds like probably the best villain you can come up with. In theory, yes. In practice, no. But in this story, a little bit in between. It's not fantastic, unfortunately. And I really, I have faith in Carnage. I think one day he will come back and will be a great character. And this is alright. But Carnage never got the great stories that Venom did. And he got equal the bashing that Venom did later on. So anyway, let's take a look at this story. Basically, Carnage is just killing people. Spider-Man has to stop him, so he gets Venom. Venom is on a desert island and thinks Spider-Man's dead. So obviously when Spider-Man gets Venom, Venom's a bit pissed off. Now, that's one point of the story that really annoys me, because I love Venom. Don't get me wrong, he's great. But I mean, man, has he been screwed up as well. And this was before before things went downhill. I think he went downhill around, was it 375, I think? Ugh, and, it was pretty hokey pokey. He became an anti-hero, didn't quite work. Venom's purpose to me is just someone who hates Spider-Man for the sake of hating Spider-Man. That is a great idea for a villain, just who does villainy for the sake of villainy. And then this whole saving the innocence crap, anyway. But it's about Carnage, and in this story Venom does team up with Spider-Man. Usually I'd hate this, but it's handled alright here, even though I don't like the idea that if you'd read the story beforehand when he fakes his own death to Venom, then you'd realise why this story just doesn't sit right. But the dialogue's pretty good. I mean, Venom does say some pretty funny things, they both do. However, there's this really kind of very 90s, early 90s, late 80s reference, which kind of got a bit stupid, and I quote, let me find the quote, basically, they need to find a place where Carnage would go, and they know that he loves heavy rock music, metal. Of course, the problem is you've only found this out a few panels before. Anyway, that's not the point. Now, where is it? This really... I thought this was pretty stupid. Sorry about this. Oh, here. Wait, what could it be? Metalheads take pride in bucking the establishment, and Cassidy was looking for a receptive audience. If you're wrong, pray I'm not. Let's go. Metalheads take pride in bucking the establishment. Who the hell wrote that? Well, David Michelin wrote that. And that's kind of like, even that would be corny for the 60s. That's just terrible dialogue. And there's some bad dialogue throughout. However, the banter between Spidey and Venom is really funny, because Venom he's weird in it. He's enjoying it in a warped sense. So, Carnage. It's good. It's not great. But, it's worth buying. If you like Carnage, get it. If you like Venom, get it. Yeah, recommend it. A thumbs up. Not 2, but 1. Also, I'd just like to respond to I've forgotten his name. Sorry. KingMingus, who posted a response to my Torment review. Though they disagree. You're entitled to your opinion. I just want to say that, look, I don't hate Torment. I just think that it's a hard story to recommend, because there are so many stories that are better. And stories like it that are better. Todd McFarlane did pretty much very similar stories and just did them better. But, just to reiterate my last video, if you want to get Torment, get it. But I'm not going to say you should buy it, especially if you're going to buy a trade paperback. Yeah, that's it for me now. I hope somebody actually watches it, as I think the last video accumulated only 28 views, which is appalling. Then again, it's not as appalling what would later happen to Venom and Carnage.